Well, we will, it's up to the voters. And that's what's great about this country is that whatever the voters say, then we live with and we go with. And if they vote to roll these taxes back, then, we need to sit down and figure out what kind of service we can provide for them. If they vote against this rollback, and we, understand what they want for a service out of Bears Ed. And it's basically up to the voters, and I think that's a good process. I'm really glad it went to rollback. I think that gives the voters and the taxpayers a chance, to let us know what they want. All of our meetings are open. The records are all open. Just like I said in my letter, I encourage you to come get the numbers for yourself, to ask questions. Come to those board meetings. Let us know what you want as a community.
And if voters vote for the rollback and you lose the revenue, what, in your opinion, will be the impact on the services that you are able to provide to Bears Ed?
We're going to lose revenue, and the only place in the budget that we can actually cut would be to our personnel. We don't want a 9-to-5 ambulance service. That just won't work. Right now we have 4 full-time employees, and we have 1 out crew a day. And, these crews work 24-hour shifts. And that it takes 4 full-time personnel, to run that ambulance 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, to operate that service, So we might be looking at going down to a basic service, not having an advanced life support unit, which will save some money. We'll have no paramedics. They'll all be basics. But that, again, that's up to the voters, to decide what kind of service they want in the town of Bears Ed.
Mr. Lobmeyer, do you agree that services will have to be cut if folks vote for the rollback, or is it your position that, and these are your words, not mine, by the way, referring to, as you see it, bad management? Do you believe with better management from the president's position of the hospital board and throughout, the district can continue to provide the same services, only do it with less money if they better manage their dollars?
Well, let's discuss this money situation for a minute that Mr. Wilmoth brought up. That he says he has 4 full-time employees. Okay, on their budget that they put out in September, and I know it's changed somewhat, but they showed last year they spent $350,000 on payroll. And in his letter to the taxpayers, he said that they're paying 25% less than surrounding EMS services. Now, I think people could just do simple math. The basic EMT pay in Booker is $27,000. That's their basic pay. Now, Mr. Wilmoth said that that pays 25% less. Okay? So their CC medic in Booker, their base pay is $42,000. So add the numbers up. I mean, you cannot come up with $350,000 in. You can't even come up with $250,000 in pay based on that. So for him to say he has to cut back, there's something missing here. We're not getting the full story from Mr. Wilmoth.
Mr. Wilmoth, where do those payroll numbers come from then?
I don't know where his payroll numbers come from, but in comparison, I don't know how Booker is. They're a volunteer and paid service combined. But if you take a medic at Bears Ed and a medic, say, at Perryton or Canadian, that's the surrounding areas we compare with. We are a full-time service, just like they are. We pay our medics in Bears Ed $280 per shift. Perryton Canadian pays somewhere between $350 and $405. So that is a sizable decrease to what we pay ours compared to Perryton or Canadian.
So the $350,000 or something payroll number you're saying is not your number?
No, that's not the number. No, that is not the payroll number.
So where do you get that number, Mr. Lobmeyer?
Well,
that comes from their last year's expense, the P&L from September. Does that not correct, Jimmy, where it says right here, your salaries and wages were $307,518. Your payroll taxes were $26,000. Your employee benefits were $24,000. You add those up. That's where I get that number.
Our payroll for this year is $220,000.
Okay, so your payroll is $220,000 for this year?
Yes, that's on the budget that you picked up and received.
No, I never did.
And I've got that budget right here in front of me.
Okay.
But, you know,
So
that's like I'm saying. I did
your payroll. You've cut your payroll 100 and basically 30,000 from last year is what you're saying?
Yes.
How did you do that?
Well, first off, we were running 2 crews. If one crew that day was out, say, transporting a patient to Perryton and on to Amarillo, we had another crew on standby that day to answer calls within Darazette. Now we have 1 crew out a day. We have cut our crews in half.
And
we have medic and part-time personnel that was helping us with that, to run those 2 crews, and we don't have that anymore.
And even as you've trimmed those services, Mr. Wilmoth, and trimmed that much off your payroll, you're saying that the hospital district does need the additional revenue still yet to continue to provide those services?
To provide those services, because there were increases in salaries last year to retain the employees we have. Also, to get employees to come to this area, because 3 of our employees, all 4 of our employees came from other services and took pay cuts to come back to Darazette, where their home is, to work. So any medic that you try to get out there to come into this area and, you pay $100 or $120 less than the surrounding area, you're not going to get them.